Good evening and welcome to OPPD Listens. My name is Ralph Lassiter with Touchstone Strategic Consultants, and my role is to guide tonight's information sharing process regarding future resource options. We have an exciting and interesting as well as informative panel prepared for you tonight. Our panelists are Tim Burke, Rob Petrolak, Chris Oberle, John Hanson, and following the panelists' presentation, we will have a moderated question and answer session. I'll share with you a little bit more information about how we will facilitate the Q&A session in just a moment. I want to also remind you that tonight's forum is being streamed live to 4 locations around OPPD service territory. 3 locations on the Metropolitan Community College campus, Fort Omaha, Elkhorn Valley, South Omaha, as well as at the Lead Lodge and Conference Center. And of course, we are live here at UNO's Scott Conference Center. When you entered tonight, you should have received a comment or question card. We ask that you complete those cards with your questions or your comments, provide those to any of the staff members or moderators here tonight. During the Q&A session, I will present your questions to the panel of experts. In terms of how we can make best use of our time and receive full information that has been prepared for tonight, we ask that you keep in mind that tonight's forum is not a public debate. It is, however, an informational forum on the data that was compiled during this process. This information will be provided to OPPD's elected board of directors so that they can make a fair and equitable decision for all OPPD customers. With that in mind, we ask that you be kind, courteous, and respectful to all participants tonight. We also ask that you focus on the merits of what is being said, making a good faith effort to understand the concerns of others. Again, questions of clarification are encouraged. We also ask that discouraging or disparaging comments not be provided tonight. If you have not done so already, we ask that you place your cell phones and other electronic devices on vibrate. With that, I'd like to ask that you join me in welcoming our first presenter, Mr. Tim Burke. Yeah.
Thanks, Ralph. Appreciate it. Thanks, Ralph, and thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Again, my name is Tim Burke, and I'm Vice President of Customer Service and Public Affairs with Omaha Public Power District. It's great to see so many faces that have kind of followed us on this journey on the OPPD Listens Tour. I'd like to talk a little bit about that. On the slide here, you see kind of 3 major words: planned, act, and measure. This process actually started last fall when our board of directors approved a stakeholder process for us to begin to get input on critical things that impact our customer owners. And it was really a foresightful kind of action. And so we've been on that journey to kind of craft what this kind of process would look like. The board approved it in September. And lo and behold, with all the changes that are going on in our industry, whether it may be environmental regulations or other regulatory matters across the electric utility industry, we're in a position to take a look at future generation options. And so in our stakeholder process, we really have 3 key phases. The first one is developing a plan on what that stakeholder process will look like. And I'll share the details for many of you who may not have attended the first session or have heard some of the board presentations that we have done. The second is to really act on that plan, is to really execute it. And then the third piece is to really get the measurement. What's the feedback? What's the perspective of the customers? What are customers telling us, and why are they telling us that? And you're going to hear that today with Chris Oberle from Market Strategies, who essentially their firm did the qualitative and quantitative research. And I think you'll find that to be very interesting. Because one of the things that we kind of found in this process was our mission is to provide affordable, reliable, environmentally sensitive energy. And I think what you're going to see during this process is the customers are saying those things are all important. And so it really is an opportunity for us to dovetail and to kind of streamline our mission with what our customers are telling us. And so we're really pleased to see that as well. A little bit about the time frame. Again, this stakeholder process started in early February when an internal team and some of our partners began to develop what this plan would look like. And this plan has 3 phases to that. We began early in February, and then in March, we held 10 open houses across our service territory. We began to look at the qualitative and the quantitative research around what customers are interested in, the attributes that they really value, and how they would look at trade-offs and value those trade-offs in future generation options. Now, you may ask, well, why all of a sudden are you doing this? Well, it's because of the many changes that are going on with our industry. And you read about some of them as early as yesterday in the paper. If you read the Omaha World Herald or you picked up any newspaper, there were things on there about what the President's office and the EPA are considering and talking about. And I think what you'll find is many of the things that has been spoken in those kind of venues are things that we've incorporated into our planning as well. And then the third and final phase is really to do the public forum, is to share what we found, both in the open houses and in the qualitative and quantitative research. And this information, along with your perspective and feedback, will be shared with our board of directors, many who are here tonight as well, in the board meeting in May. So this is kind of our plan, our phases. The first phase is to do our open houses. There was a couple things that kind of surfaced out of that open houses. Customers are really interested in renewable energy. We found many people very surprised that our 2008 renewable portfolio percentage of our retail energy will be at 33%. Some were very surprised. Some were saying, okay, that's a start. Now what are you going to do next? We also had a variety of different feedback from customers saying, we really like some of the energy efficiency programs you're doing, but we would like to see more. In the market research, Chris Oberle will go into great detail some of the feedback and the perspectives that we were getting from the customers owners that participated in that market research project. And then today, you're hearing the public forum where you're going to hear myself and 3 other folks talk a little bit about this process and what essentially surfaced in that regard. Now, some of the attributes that we asked people to consider or to think about and to give us perspective on were around economics and affordability, around the environment, about regulatory compliance, around renewable sources, around efficiency or demand-side management. And those kind of pieces are things like some of the work that we do with our commercial industrials about providing them a lighting incentive rebate, where they put in more efficient lighting so they're able to reduce their demand and their kilowatt-hour consumption, as well as some of the other demand response pieces that we do with our residential customers, like our air conditioning management program, where we're able to essentially cycle compressors during that summer peak period of time to keep our demand low and then defer future generation. So it's those kinds of efficiency and demand response activities that we began to ask customers about and get their feedback on. And we did that throughout the course of this stakeholder process. And then about risk, about generation diversity. I think one of the things that we wanted to hear about is what are the concerns of customers around focused on one fuel or multiple fuels? What is important about that reliability and that generation diversity? So it was a great opportunity for us to get that feedback and perspective from our customer owners as well. So the study, well, hang on here because it kind of moved a couple slides, I think. There we go. So what we found in that first phase was customers saying we want to see more things around energy efficiency, around demand response, around demand side management. And you're going to hear a little bit about that in the upcoming segments of the presentation today. Also about renewable sources. What we found in phase 1, it was a great opportunity for us also to talk to our customers about the complicated nature of the work of planning for future generation. And it was a great opportunity to kind of hear that feedback and get that perspective as well. And what we heard was just the things that I said a little bit ago. We really like what you're doing with your green portfolio and the purchases of your Prairie Breeze and your Grand Prairie. But what's next, and what are you going to be doing in the future? We really like some of the energy efficiency programs that you have in place, but how can you expand them, right? So you can begin to think about deferring other generation in the future. And how is the best way for the customers to give us that feedback? And it was a great opportunity for us to do that in phase 1, which many of you participated in.